How can I support my insecure partner while staying focused on my own healing? So if you struggle with insecure attachment, it can be difficult to show up as, let's say, a secure sounding board for your partner if they perpetually trigger you yourself, right? But if both partners can agree that they want to show up authentically and honestly to the relationship, and you both agree to prioritize each other's wants and needs equally, you can find a way to navigate through it. And usually this requires that, both individuals are working on themselves internally, as well as working on the relationship and, let's say, the play space, between you in that relationship. So how to maintain your own individual integrity when the relationship might feel unstable due to a triggering event really requires adopting a model for understanding how a secure partner might act in that situation. And in the literature, this is referred to as security priming. Okay. So we have to ask, what are the traits of a secure person that would allow an insecure person to move through a triggered state and again find a sense of equilibrium in the relationship and within themselves? It's also worthwhile knowing how individuals with insecure attachment perceive support and are able to receive it. So I have the second Facebook group that I have, the larger one called Attachment and Adult Relationships. At this time, there's more than 25,000 members. I asked folks to share what made them feel supported and inspired by love. And altogether, there were about 6 primary traits that they seemed to look for in a partner. Now, if you'd like to know what these 6 traits are, I'd have you grab a pen and paper right now and stick with me until the end, because this could make the difference between if you're trying to make it work with an insecure partner while working on your own insecurities. It could be the difference between, pushing them away or getting them to move closer to you. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Briana MacWilliam, and I am a licensed and board-certified creative arts therapist, author, and educator with more than 15 years in the field, helping adults struggling with insecure attachment go from self-doubting to self-sovereign so they can attract those soul-shaking, passionate partnerships that they want, without having to talk in circles around their feelings for hours or even years on end with no tangible result. And I do this using a psycho-spiritual approach to creative arts interventions using the MacWilliam method. Today, I'm going to be sharing a clip of a live stream event that took place inside my private Facebook groups, which people can access once they've purchased one of my online courses. If you're interested in finding out if you might have insecure attachment, check out the link in the caption of this video. You'll be able to take an easy 4-question quiz and find out your attachment style, plus a detailed explanation. Now, if you like what you see in here, and you haven't yet, make sure that you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. I put out videos once or twice a week, and sometimes I will do occasional live streams through my YouTube channel, and I wouldn't want you to miss out. Now, before I detail these traits, I just want to point out that it's important to note that most of these traits I'm going to talk about, they're actually not about what a partner is giving them or even how a partner responds to them. But it's really more about how the partner shows up with a sense of themselves. So in other words, most people felt supported by just being with a partner that had a full sense of presence within themselves. So it was less about what they were doing, and when people focused on what they had to do, more often than not, it was perceived as a triggering way of trying to fix, dismiss, or maneuver them. So it was less about that, and it was more about how they simply felt in that person's presence that made them implicitly trust them and trust that they would be consistent. And that actually leads me to the first trait, number 1, which is consistency. So to explain what this means, I'm going to quote a member of the group. Consistency means that you know what you want and you don't wait for me to say what it is that I want first. And you don't change what you think or feel because I think or feel something else. It degrades my trust in your judgment, and it makes me feel like you don't know who you really are or what you really want. So how can you know if you really love and want me or just someone that fits your fantasy of romance? I'm not interested in being with someone who's just in love with the idea of being in love. Okay, so number 1, consistency. The second thing is self-possession. So this boils down to knowing your value and avoiding seeking too much external validation for it and from your partner. So when you have been taught your whole life to suppress your needs because they were a burden or because they're deemed secondary to the concerns of other people around you, there is a habit of looking to the outside world to validate your right to have your feelings and your needs. So, someone might say, well, he won't listen to me or validate my concerns. So now what do I do? Now, to the average person, of course, when someone purposefully invalidates you or doesn't validate you by virtue of omission, that can be very annoying, right? And you may choose not to engage with someone like that and to walk away. But if you're someone who, on the other hand, gets disproportionately upset because deep down you believe that if they don't validate you, then it must mean that your needs are invalid or that you don't actually have a right to have them simply because they don't acknowledge them or agree with you, then that is when you get into trouble. And this is going to make you feel triggered and thrown off your center, okay? So be aware of when you start looking to your partner to validate things that are really just fundamental to who and what you are. And try to throw a wrench in that wheel before you slip into a spiral, okay? And the best way to practice self-possession is to adopt a mantra such as, my needs are valid no matter what, and I honor them no matter what, okay? Now this doesn't require changing who you are. It requires accepting yourself as you are, flaws and all. And so how others respond to this, that's going to give you really good information about whether or not you want to keep them around in your life, whether or not they are being supportive of you on your healing journey. So number 1, consistency. Number 2, self-possession. Number 3, being boundaried. So that means clearly communicating that you are not a doormat, but you're not trying to control anybody either, okay? So rolling stones especially, are people who are avoidant and sometimes spice of lifers, disorganized spice of lifers. They tend to like to test boundaries to see what you're made of, right? What kind of metal are you made of? And these are folks that tend to abhor weakness and admire strength. So you want to show them that wearing your heart on your sleeve also comes with a backbone. And this is going to coax them out of their shell, assuming that a deeper part of their spirit is wanting to be coaxed, right? So for example, if your insecure partner texts you in the middle of the night for a booty call or endless fantasy sexting, or asks you for a naked pic or a filter, right? I would recommend ignoring that text until the morning and then replying, hey, thanks for the message, but I don't text that late at night, and I'm not quite ready for that kind of exchange. If you'd like to get together, I'm attending a happy hour at 6. Would be great to see you there. Now the fourth one is passionate. So have your own hobbies and pursuits besides binge watching Netflix or surfing social media. So someone who's engaged with their creative energy is someone who's tapped into their vital energy, okay? And this is also considered to be your libido, and that is very attractive, okay? It also means you are likely to be someone of substance, and you can bring new perspectives to any relationship. Additionally, it means that your partner isn't going to feel as afraid or guilty when they ask for alone time or personal space, because they know that you are going to be happy doing your own thing while they do theirs, as opposed to getting angry and upset and potentially acting out at some point in the relationship. Now the fifth one is, I'm going to call non-judgmental. Can you express a need or desire without criticism or judgment? Can you embrace and appreciate the way in which your partner wants to show you their love without imagining the many ways that they could do it better? So if a partner needs time alone or needs more time with you, do you assume that it must be because of something that you're doing wrong? Okay. If they want privacy, do you assume they're hiding something from you or cheating on you? If they want more time, do you assume that they're trying to control you or smother you? So if you can assume a non-judgmental and accepting attitude without reading negative or fearful assumptions into the exchanges between you, then your partner is going to feel a lot more able to be themselves around you, because they're going to feel that you see and accept them for who they are and not some fantasy of who you want them to be, like the person mentioned in the first one, right? And they also won't feel like you expect them to do your own emotional labor and heavy lifting in the relationship. Now, the last one, number 6, is discerning. We might call this an ability to say no when you need to. Okay, so just because you're non-judgmental, it doesn't mean that you're a doormat or that you're just a yes man. In fact, either of those things is usually going to turn a partner off. So you can accept someone for who they are with unconditional regard and still make a discerning choice about how you're going to allocate your real world physical resources, emotional energy, and time in the material world. So you can love someone who's unable to meet your needs. It doesn't make them a villain. It doesn't make you unworthy, undeserving, or too demanding. It just means that you're not compatible. And you'll never know how compatible you are until you start to say no when you need to and use your discernment. So that means that you have to say no to some things as much as you say yes to others, because without it, your yeses mean nothing without your no's. And this is what gives a partner a sense of challenge and intrigue in a relationship. And it makes a partner feel like you're choosing them, not settling for what's available to you. I want to offer one final thought on this. If you want someone to hear you and to take a no seriously, or an expression of a personal boundary seriously, it is really best if you can show up to a conversation without taking things too personally or feeling too terribly swayed by whatever an insecure person says, okay? Because oftentimes it's less about you and it's more about their ongoing internal conflicts and narrative, okay? So know what you want first and focus on that, and then let them be a part of a co-creative solution to getting both your needs met and equal priority. So don't try to go ahead and figure everything out for them beforehand and kind of lay it out like a proposal, okay? Kind of let it go undefined for a little while. Your wants are defined, but how it will unfold in the relationship is a bit undefined, so that you can allow it to kind of unfold in the moment. Now, if you want to learn more about how secure attachment expresses itself and shows up in relationships, I do have a playlist on my YouTube channel. So I invite you to go check that out. So I hope that makes sense, and certainly feel free to give me a comment there to let me know how you are hearing and digesting these things.